which I think it's weird that a milkshake wouldn't be refrigerated. But she described how the dairy made her extra phlegmy. Yeah, I think she was fine.
This is pretty legit, man. These are yours. You just got these in the mail.
No, these are my cameras. These are Lucius's lights. I got different lights at home. And we got to do an unboxing. Are we rolling? You want to wear your headphones?
Yes, I do.
They're hanging there.
Just take a picture of us.
Perfect.
All right. Are we going live?
Lou. Hey, Lou. Are we rolling?
Yes, we are technically rolling.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Guys, welcome back to Jacob V Weekly. We want to start like we do every week by asking you to check out Caddyshack of Hamel, Illinois, caddyshackil.org. Also, I want to ask you to go check out Good Company in the Grove. My brother-in-law is the chef there, and they have my favorite food item right now is the Brussels Caesar salad. I brought it to the Blinded by Stereo weenie roast yesterday. And I could just eat that. I got a whole tray of it that place is not expensive. Compared to like the caliber of Get the Salad, Good Company in the Grove. Used to be Layla. I'm here today with my original co-host, Joseph Peary.
Hello.
Joseph Peary is a men's rights activist and a bartender. And
That's right.
What else are you doing?
Those two things exclusively.
Mostly those two things. I thought we'd warm up with an unboxing because I can't wait to open this package I just got in the mail, but I thought we'd wait to the show. So here I have my normal shit. This is 14 grams of premium flour from Flora Farms. This one happens to be the Silver Ghost because it was on sale. This is normal, legal, full spectrum cannabis.
Damn. This shit's good.
In the mail, I got 2 ounces of what my friend Nico calls loophole weed. And loophole weed is related to the Farm Bill. Can you open this?
Yeah.
And the Farm Bill, I don't know where I put my keys. That's kind of what I was looking for. The Farm Bill permits farms that grow cannabis legally to be able to sell versions of it themselves directly. So with a coupon code from a podcast that I listen to, I got 2 ounces of apparently totally normal weed. Mailed directly to my house. THCA flower.
You're always talking about how the flower is the superior, because I take kratom occasionally, and you don't like that as natural.
That's a demon.
Yeah, kratom's a demon.
Kratom is a demon. Delta 9 THC.
Oh shit, Delta 9, that shit'll fuck you up. That'll put you in a ward, dog.
Meat breath and purple Skittles. With a Z. Skittles.
They're allowed to call it another brand's name.
It's not a brand. It's the strain.
Is it a plant?
Well, this is what I'm saying. No. It's just the dry herb, like I use.
I didn't realize Delta 9 was I thought it came in like a test tube.
Well, you're thinking of.
This is premium.
Yeah. This is the.
Look at this package.
Okay, but can you open one of these?
Yeah.
This one's bigger. Here, do this one. Now, what we're gonna do is a little side by side.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm not gonna make you do it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do a little Pepsi challenge because if this is a viable option, it's about half the price of the stuff I get at the dispo.
Wow.
You don't have keys?
I do.
So, up first we have the Flora Farms. And I've been having this. It's totally normal experience. And my thing is...
Oh, wow, that's damn.
Yeah, everything you would expect. Now, hold on. Before you pop that part open, right, let's enjoy this. Yeah. This is not a sponsor. I paid for these.
Yeah.
But it was like 50% off.
Okay.
So... But we want to figure out, am I a genius? Or did I get sold a bag of garbage by a bunch of hippies in Wisconsin, which is where this is from. This is from rubiesflowerswi.com, who is not a sponsor. They don't even know about me. Much like Lion's Choice. Every time I go to Lion's Choice, I'm like, do they know me?
Do they know how much I sponsor
that's
them?
that motherfucker that I'm probably the only one using the app, the Lion's Choice app. They're like, that's that motherfucker with the mobile order. He's got 2 remixes and he's got 2 large Diet Cokes with extra ice.
Oh, man,
and their
so
Diet
much
Coke
respect.
sucks there, but it's just convenient.
Yeah. Man, you need your own THC you need strain called Diet Coke. That'd be so premium.
My problem is all of the designer celebrity endorsed shit right now is really expensive.
Yeah.
I'd love to get in on the budget market. So here we have Meat Breath, 31% THCA. Let's compare it to the bag here of the Silver Ghost. The Silver Ghost THCA is 25%. Now, this only has 0.3% of the Delta 9 THC, which is the legal limit under the Farm Bill. This has 1%. So that doesn't seem to be the factor. It is a little mischievous.
I don't understand how they can. I thought
this is what we're trying to figure out.
I thought Delta 9 was some sort of extracted cannabinoid.
There's cannabinoids in every Delta.
Okay.
Right? And the stuff that's specifically illegal is Delta 9. Delta 8 can give you a lot of the effects of Delta 9, but it's not illegal.
Okay.
Especially as more and more hemp products become legal, there's more of these plants all over the country. So now what we got to figure out is...
Yeah, I just took THCV and I had a full freak out. About to call the police. It's a cannabinoid.
No, but why would they single that one out?
I don't know. It's like got stimulating effects. It's very light.
What did it do to you?
It just made me think I was going to die again. I called the police and instead called you. You didn't answer.
When was this?
Which is a reminder of me being alive. This was a couple nights ago.
What time was it?
3 weeks ago.
Well, who gave you the THCV?
Late. I bought it at the dispensary.
Yeah, if it's late and I'm in bed, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm glad you didn't. You would have just heard, dude, I'm gonna die. Call the police. Call the police. Joe, you're fine. Man, Diet Coke weed would be the closest thing to Adderall.
Yeah, if we could do a Diet Coke collab. Now I have a separate piece here because we are going to sample.
Right, you have a control group.
We have a control group.
That's good.
We are going to sample the loophole weed here.
Okay. Are you sure you didn't come up with loophole weed?
What do you mean?
Oh, no.
Beautiful nugget here.
Crystallized.
There's a guy that does this like every day as a podcast. There's a guy in St. Peter's or Cottleville or something.
He just grinds and talks.
He tries new weed every day on a podcast. And I saw the meme the other day that podcast equipment should be harder to get than a firearm.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. This part will probably be page. I don't know. I don't know that we get the traction on the YouTube that it'll matter.
No, it'll be good. This all needs to stay.
Leave it in.
Yeah.
Oh, grinding it up. Here, you want to try this?
Yeah.
Just give me some grindage. You got to push it down and twist it. Full circles. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really get in there.
Man, this grinder's seen some days.
Yeah, that's my COVID grinder. That's my iridescent. I also have the matching cocktail set. All right, let me see.
I was getting on my way here listening to Alex Jones report on the.
Do you listen to the new Tim?
Listen to Alex Jones report on the assassination attempt. Yeah, I mean that guy definitely has it right. That guy's definitely correct in all of his assumptions.
Okay, so far my experience is exactly the same.
Have you tried it yet?
No. That's what I'm saying. Product number 2.
This may end the podcast, just so everybody knows. You're going to be running around with your shirt off like Ricky Bobby.
I don't know, it seems normal.
We got to zoom in on your face with that shot.
We're in 4K 25. They're going to see every drop of sweat on my forehead. Okay, so now we're going to see what happens.
You're looking good, man. You been on the treadmill? What's going on? I want to know your secret, man. You look fantastic.
Well, I do own a Peloton.
Yeah, Peloton, another plug.
And not a sponsor.
Nice.
And I have the shoes. I got the whole bit. But my touchscreen part is malfunctioning, so I have to use a keyboard and a mouse.
Oh, no, like a police officer.
Yeah, so it's exactly like. Why are the cops all iPad babies now?
Yeah, I know, right?
And Also, I lost 70 pounds since I quit drinking.
You look so good.
But
dude.
then I started
really
Mounjaro, and I haven't weighed since I started Mounjaro.
What's Mounjaro?
It's like Ozempic, kind of.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so what does it make you feel like? Do you feel focused?
Sometimes I get what we call.
How long you been on it?
Sometimes I get what we. I've had 3 doses, and
because you've been pumping
weekly.
out clips like a motherfucker.
Yeah, that's part of it. Sometimes I experience what we call the Mounjaro Sharts, which sounds like a mountain range, but it's actually hot gravel that shoots out of my ass when I don't expect it.
Oh my God.
And so my Hanes Her Way boxer briefs that I like have now become consumables. But I look great. I feel good.
You need some Chipotle away.
I mean, it's...
Yeah. Right.
I need some Chipotle away. Sometimes I just put a wad of wet wipes in my ass preemptively.
Nothing beats where it's pre-pandemic.
You're gonna look good, but you're
gonna like the way you look.
You're gonna like the way you look.
But that smile on your face says, I'm shitting right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's pre-pandemic, and I get a call from Jake from his job. He's at Bylaws.
Hey, I like to talk into the microphone.
And I get a call from Jake at his job, and he's like, "You got to come up here." I just shat myself. I was like, "What?" You're like, "You got to come up here and bring me some pants."
Is it like an accidental overflow, or is it like you trust a fart too much?
We've already established that I also have weak cheeks. And that
why is that?
I don't.
Mounjaro doesn't help with that?
I have no muscle mass of any kind on any part of my body.
Weak cheeks is part of the symptoms?
No, I had that already. My cheeks are already weak.
You're on Peloton though. I don't understand.
Yeah.
A Peloton.
You got to be doing the cheek exercise.
I got to ask Peloton, can we work more on my cheeks? So, I just got to be careful. But
you're gearing up for your.
But I'm 3 doses in, so that's 3
No
weeks.
surprises, no haunted houses.
Yeah.
No alarms.
No
Be
alarms.
careful. You're gearing up for your.
Like, I have to
Cannabis
go all the
shaman.
way home and get on the toilet before I can let myself sneeze. You know what I'm saying? Because if I risk a sneeze anywhere, it could be the end. I usually travel with... I probably have boxer briefs in this bag right here next to me. I usually travel with wet wipes and boxer briefs anyway because of my weak cheeks. And now that I'm on the Mounjaro, the worst is like if you're in the car. Mm-hmm. And, I mean...
Yeah. And it's hot out. Well, we're in climate change weather now. On my way here, I was texting Jake. I was like, this is unreal. This is it. Like, it only gets hotter from here. We're permanently in, like, shorts and athletic shirts for now.
Yeah, I think my AC unit in my house may be paid off.
But you know what I don't understand is why are billionaires still buying up coastal land? Like, because, like, if climate change is so serious, why are Miami...
there's different things to worry about. Because just to assume that you want land, maybe it's, you start looking at elevation. Rich people have always looked at elevation. Marlon Brando told Johnny Depp when he bought his island, he said, go back and get all these numbers about the elevation and the annual whatevers. And because they pay attention to this stuff, if you're going to buy an island, you want to know all this stuff.
That's true.
And Marlon Brando said that to Johnny Depp.
He said, because that's going to be your island in the next few years.
If that's your island, buddy, you got to know, are you going to be underwater part of the year?
Yeah. I mean, I just, like, I do not understand, like, why California and Miami real estate's going up in value if we're supposed to acknowledge that, the world is ending and climate change is, we're going to be underwater soon. So I'm really curious about that, but I look outside and I'm like, and even my father is like, yeah, something's happening, something's up. My dad, it was the biggest anti-climate change.
It's like, we still need to burn diesel, but something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong. He's like, and we had the sermon at Thanksgiving this year was about the end of the world from my father. He said, obviously the climate's changing.
But he went all the way to that means the end of the world.
Yeah, and then he started speaking from
him.
Revelation. He started speaking. There are going to be naysayers and antichrists, and you have to, keep putting your faith in Christ, and that's they're going to come for you because it's going to be very convincing. And I said, wow, this really got apocalyptic really fast. It's usually about learning how to share.
The Jehovah's Witnesses did that to me one time. They came to my house and they said,
I love those
Have
guys.
you read Revelations? I said, not the whole thing lately.
Like it's like you're missing out in the news.
And he said, well, we just want you to know that things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But in Revelation, people talk a lot about it's the end of the world, but it's also the beginning of the new world in Christ.
There you go. That's pretty good.
I got scared.
Yeah, that is scary.
Because if people start talking like that, usually that's when they're wearing a vest with things on it, or maybe they pull something out.
Welcome. Yeah, right.
Not to bury.
That suit jacket looks rather large.
That's a big. Is that your father's coat?
Yeah, it's a whole trench coat, 90-degree weather.
What, sir? Are you wrapped in something?
Is that clicking?
You have what's that disease you get?
Elephantitis.
Yeah. You have elephantitis of the blowhole, sir. But what was the end? How do you wrap a Thanksgiving sermon about Revelations up?
He was just like, keep putting your faith in Christ, but stop. Don't follow charismatic leaders, as they say. Don't sit.
There's a lot of evangelical dads doing that right now.
Anytime they try to explain something. If it isn't pointing to Christ, it's not the way, And I was like, that's actually very wise.
Can I get a spark notes on the denomination of your father and
Presbyterian,
a lifelong pastor is what it sounds like?
Well, he was a Jehovah's Witness, and my grandmother paid their Baptist pastor to go and rescue him from the Jehovah's Witnesses. He went to she paid him to go to the compound to rescue him because they won't let you out. And they said, and they were like, once you leave here, you can't come back. And he's like, well, she paid this guy, so he left with him.
When was this?
This was when he was in his mid-20s. He ran away to the compound.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, that's true.
So he was raised as a Baptist?
He was raised as a Baptist.
And then went to the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes. The Baptists are the wealthiest non-Catholic group, just so you know.
I didn't ask.
Yes.
And so, but then she went to save him.
Back then, you didn't have cell phones and stuff, so like cults were like really easy.
But
to
you
start.
did have private dicks.
That's right. That's right. That's true.
You did have private investigators that you could hire, usually retired cops.
Yeah.
Um,
And everybody loves a spirit. Like everybody loves a, that was basically a crusade. The Baptist preacher she hired was basically sent on a crusade to save.
Love crusades.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love
but I
it.
just think that's
always
interesting.
Love it.
So do the Baptists not like? How do other?
Wait a minute! I just realized the third Indiana Jones movie is called The Last Crusade. That's kind of
Which is funny because
Fucked
we're
up.
in the middle of a couple crusades right now, just us as a nation.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm on a crusade to Lion's Choice.
That's true. That's true.
I think
Decades long.
it'll be decades long before we get there, but I'm not going to
God.
give up on them. That's what true love is. I met my wife years before we started dating. You got to play the long game.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I'm playing the long game with Lion's Choice, and you at home need to be playing the long game with your Lord and Savior. So the Baptist, she brought him back to baptism.
Yeah,
But then he ended up being Presbyterian?
Yes, he. Well, I think he still had the Protestants are really attractive because like there's kind of this like wild man aspect to Protestantism where you're walking like Jesus, so you're living poorly and you are working really hard and you are kind of like not putting your faith in establishment, or establishing your own group. And this church I ended up in, which was called New City Fellowship, they met in like a gymnasium, and the pastor had like a ponytail and was bald on top, and like all the families had like a minimum of 6 kids per family. Like they really encouraged like having like a lot of kids. It was kind of a cult-like group. It was very secretive. And before social media,
Like a quiverful movement.
yes. Before social media, like small groups like that where you were kind of doing something, things were getting organized was like really cool. Like what is happening here? What's this? We're in a gym,
Yeah, that's not uncommon.
Yeah. Sorry, our conversation isn't very linear quite yet.
No. Who cares?
Well, yeah. Yeah. We're clipped up.
So...
Anyway.
So Jehovah's Witnesses have like isolated groups like Mormons do.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Are there? I wonder how many faiths there. I guess there's versions of any faith that can be like.
Well, they
that.
had kind of like compounds, I believe.
I don't hear about a lot of Catholic cults.
No, I mean they won. The whole world is their cult. It's the Roman Empire.
Cult?
became the
Why?
Vatican.
Everyone's already here.
Yeah, right. I love Catholicism. I called it a long time ago. I said Catholicism just stuck to its guns. It's like, nope, we're not doing any stupid blue jeans rock band. We're not doing any of that fucking shit. We're gonna stay true, and they will come back to us, and they absolutely did.
Yeah.
Everybody went back to them. All the stupid alternative
People
Christians.
hate guitars that much that they'll listen to an old guy in a dress chant in Latin.
Yeah.
And also, Catholic Mass is airtight. It's got a specific runtime. It never runs late.
Yes.
In and out. You can build it into a schedule routinely.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you go to these, whatever these people are doing, these Gentiles in these warehouses in the county, and they'll just keep vamping.
Yeah.
They'll just do whatever they want to do. I'm like, honey, I got a reservation for my KFC is in the window. I got KFC to pick up.
I've seen him do 24 hours.
Everyone's leaving for work Monday morning. He's still up there.
Dancing. Oh!
Go ahead, leave. You can't take it.
What's that one show with John Goodman, like the Righteous?
The Righteous
Gemstones.
Gemstones. I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, Joe was giving me Righteous Gemstones, like
Yeah.
deliver it onto him,
Delivered
onto him,
onto
and
him.
all Sunday
Yes.
afternoon brunch with the family.
So, John Hamm, a Missouri resident. He probably lived
John
right around
Goodman.
here. John Goodman, sorry. And also
Other John,
Hamm.
other St. Louis John.
Also St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Paul.
And also, no, I think he's Afton.
Yeah.
John Goodman, went to Afton High School.
Yeah.
Football player.
Afton High School football. Go Cougars.
Yep.
I went to Afton for a couple of years, first and second grade. I didn't like it. I was too weird.
Yeah.
Clay would have liked it there.
Jake, it's a shame. Like once this podcast takes off, like how much you will capture St. Louis weirdness is so important. You're like the last standing, mythical, symbol of St. Louis, in my opinion. I've always said.
Well, your
Because
perspective.
Beetle Bob died?
Yeah. Since Beetle Bob died, it's just me.
It's just you.
Baton Bob moved to Atlanta because they kept beating the shit out of him. Beetle Bob finally went to glory.
Who's the Clownvis?
Clownvis is here. He's not getting any younger.
Who's that guy who plays? He's got like not very much hair, but he always wears like sci-fi armor to his music. He played at like the Vinyl Day shows. It was like
That sounds like Tori Starbuck.
I think that's probably who it is. Yeah.
Older guy, pink
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, pink hair, and he wears like a vest, but he also wears like some sci-fi armor.
Sci-fi armor's got to be
that's
Tori
also him.
Starbuck. Sunglasses.
Yeah.
See how good I am?
Yeah. Well, Jake's been around. When I first met Jake, you'd go
I
to
was
the
telling
show.
this
I think he's
Lucius.
like a St. Louis socialite.
More than I
like
always
a-
wanted to be a socialite.
Yeah.
Before I was into Jack White or Prince, my favorite person was Paris Hilton.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like soft royalty. You know what I mean? I
Yes,
like
Andy Warhol.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to be prom queen, but I wanted to be on the prom court.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
The decider.
Yeah. And
of the chosen.
did you know that Lucius was prom queen?
That's awesome.
Yes.
We
for
did
you.
this whole journey a couple weeks ago on the show, but I feel like we've talked about it so much since then. But
Did you get up an image of the? Maybe we'll put that in post.
I sent it to Jacob. He can definitely put up the
Yeah,
image.
I think
I want it right
It's
here.
in my messages, so yeah, I'll put it right
here.
Which camera? am I
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be right there.
I may try to do, Theo Vaughn does this where they're on opposite sides of the room, but they're side by side, paneled.
Yeah. There probably does need to be a third camera. We can work on that.
What? Why?
I don't know.
For what?
I thought you when you went pan right, pan left, then go center for agreements. Yeah.
Well,
Editing
He's onto
scheme.
something.
that's my new thing. Is I'll construct a center shot, but it'll probably be both of us side by side because we were gonna crop in anyway. That's why we shoot in 4K 25 so that I could see your pores. You're so handsome. And
When I first
Tori,
met you,
that was definitely Tori Starbuck.
when I first met you, we'd go to like shows at the Firebird, and Jake would just kind of stand
R.I.P..
there, and people would all kind of crowd around him. And you were only like 24 at the time, but you seemed to be the most comfortable and most recognizable person that everybody knew there, and everybody would kind of approach you. I thought that was really cool because at 24, nobody wanted anything to do with me.
Well, when if people are forwarding me any of their attention at all, my instinct is, well, of course. This is what I've been asking for this whole time. Let's make it happen. And so
You run up the
and
bar
also
tab.
teaching is like that like you at least have to know, like look like you know what the plan is and that you know what's going on, and you have to
Yeah.
be de-escalated and clear and linear. Make sure you're communicating in a way that is not only engaging but also like possible to follow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't talk to my kids much about JFK because I get in the weeds. You know what I mean? Or 9/11, I get in the weeds. Did you know children now, they don't even know about Tower 7?
Yeah,
They don't
is
even
that
know
true?
there was a Tower 7.
Well, it's been 20 years, so it's funny now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still cannot believe, even as somebody super young, I saw that video of the Pentagon. Just thinking, there was a plane that hit that? There's just no way. I know we don't have to get into it, but it just,
I
still
don't know.
can't
It seems like
believe
you're
it.
trying to get into it.
I still just can't believe it. I can't believe that's like, it's just so insane, man.
Yeah, well, and I had this experience. My wife makes fun of me because I had like a panic attack. I had taken 100 milligram edible, and we decided to watch a hot new Netflix documentary about 9/11, and there was just a really candid shot of the second plane hitting the tower, and it just put me over the edge because it allowed me to see how really violent that felt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? I guess literally, but like in a way that was like, oh, that's why that time in history feels so weird as someone that was a child. It's because like you don't have, because they showed that footage all the time when we were kids on the news for years. You know what I mean? And so, but that like, you know, I thought about it today. A lot of podcasts today are starting with the clip of Trump getting shot in the ear. And I don't know that I want to just show people someone getting shot without them asking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially when it wasn't me. If I get shot, you're going to see the clip.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to make sure I'm going to start rolling as soon as I hit the ground.
Yeah.
And if I'm
Hit
not
record.
already rolling, that's really what I mean.
Joe, hit record.
The Lion's Choice money is really going to pay for Joe to be on retainer full time to just
Yes.
point a camera at anything I'm doing.
Yes. I am the only one brave enough.
We could do like a Truman Show thing.
That'd be so good.
If we did just a live stream that didn't stop.
It would be
for,
so comforting to so many Americans to follow your life.
It would be,
I think.
yeah, so soothing, I think.
I think
I
it's
want to
true.
see the Peloton.
Yeah. I want to be able to tune into
Clip.
Jake's life and then kind of have like an accountability partner, for, either not getting things done or getting things done. Whatever you are.
Yeah,
doing at
I think I'm gonna take the rest of the week off of Helldivers to accomplish some
Spread
missions.
doc-
Those
democracy.
drops in Helldivers 2 are too long. If
Yeah.
you do the full thing, it's like it could be 45 minutes. And what were we talking about?
We're talking about following your life, Truman showing your life. The V show.
Well, and I feel like, it is a burden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When what was the angel's name who was the voice of God?
The angel's name?
Yeah, there was an angel. They called him the voice.
Let me see. Which angel was the voice of God?
And he is the one that had to break the news to Jesus about all the shit that had to go down.
I'm going to go with Michael.
Metatron.
What?
That was my second guess.
Oh, it is Metatron?
Metatron? I did not realize we had
Metatron.
these types of
Yeah,
bionicle names for
Yeah. Metatron is
the angel in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Metatron is mentioned 3 times in the Talmud.
go on.
Well, I'm looking for what he does, though. Yeah, Enoch received after his transformation into an angel. So he used to be Enoch.
And he was portrayed by Alan Rickman in the movie Dogma,
Oh.
which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And when Jesus was 12, Metatron had to go to him and explain that
He was going to be put on a cross.
he was God's only son and he had to be sacrificed for the salvation of humanity.
Yeah, there's really no... I think my only concern, the dehumanization of Jesus was very important. But do you ever feel like everybody says, well, Jesus suffered, and it's like, does the degree of suffering, and humiliation, the big question is, it can't be beat at any level, but, from any person. So, and that's a good thing because we can always look to Jesus to find sympathy and empathy. But, sometimes I'm concerned that some people have experienced more suffering than Jesus. And that's a big question I have.
Well, physically just on earth, possibly.
Yeah.
But I think, the faith part comes in that the spiritual journey Christ had to undergo before, ascending to glory.
This would be a perfect time to be hitting your bong while
Let
you're
me
talking.
hit this. And, but this is the thing I love about Catholic
Scripture.
people is a lot of them know a lot of this shit.
Yeah, they have the answer.
And,
Except for when they dodge the question, which is always
because
a
some
bummer.
interpretation of the text, people preach it like it's like an action movie, like he
Yeah.
went to hell and fought the devil.
I hate that shit.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
and so if that's all the case, the end result being, that the whole broad spectrum of the story doesn't really bother me. But I think if people spend too much time, like you're talking about,
Yeah.
describing and fantasizing about the suffering
torture,
part,
yeah.
the physical,
point.
literal part, it's because that population is missing the point, and they need to be constantly re-shown how brutal it must have been
Which is
in
also
order to
exploitative.
even care about it. Yeah. But
I've
I
never
don't like
watched The
that. There's
Passion.
that cathedral that they do weddings in that they have that glass box
of suffering of
of
Jesus.
like Christ in the tomb,
Ugh.
like naked and bleeding, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why do I'm?
To graduation. There.
Why do we need?
Yeah.
I'm doing photos. Why do I need the tomb?
Yeah. Get Jesus in the photo. Get Jesus in the
and
photo.
then there's other denominations that hardly even emblemize the cross at all. Some of these non-denominational places that you may see a cross, but it's certainly not nearly as graphic as like the traditional crucifix, which I do have a soft spot in my heart for.
Yeah.
But I think if you have to constantly put the graphic suffering in people's face, it's because you think they're missing the point, or you're missing the point about really the point.
Yes. That's true.
The point of the point.
Lucius, I have a question. You're in education, correct?
No.
Oh.
Did you say I'm in education?
Are you in...
No, I'm in education the way that I'm a student right now.
Oh, you're a student.
Yeah.
So have you been utilizing AI at all?
No, not really. I feel like I want to, because it would make my life a lot easier.
What are you studying?
Music production and songwriting.
Oh. Well, yeah, I don't know if that would be a lot of use to you there.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I went to a weekend thing at Berkeley, and they were just talking about AI to use it as a tool. Don't replace your artistry with it, but definitely you can use it as a tool.
I've been really thinking a lot about it in the context of art recently, and I've realized more and more that originality and like talent is really going away, and really the only thing that we are going to be the only thing that's going to be attractive about a human artist to people is going to be basically their persona and human connection.
Yes, yeah.
The music and because nobody's actually ever cared whether or not somebody's written their own songs. All that matters is if the song is good.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have the persona, that's going to be the biggest sell. And I've listened to people I've listened to interviews with people in the industry talk about this, how we can find all kinds of talent. That's not what matters anymore. What matters is right place, right time, right politics, right look, right. That's actually the big criteria.
I feel like that's been like that forever.
I don't know. I think people were always being discovered in the context of their talent. I think that used to be the way you get in the door. But now I think it's personalities are more of what's selling.
I guess personalities, really came into play in the late 90s, 2000s, pop, the selling of the person. And then it's sort of...
But the United States is cursed with this, that if you try to name the best rock band of all time, or rock and roll band, or whatever the broad spectrum is, none of them are American bands. Because the American icons are all solo artists and their bands with them. You know what I mean?
Red Hot Chili Peppers is the only one I can think of that probably captures.
But here's the thing. If you're trying to say what's the greatest American band, it's really hard to do because it's too fragmented.
Yeah.
The bands that are actually whole bands are too specific into a genre that most people don't feel like represents the whole nation.
Yeah.
So, because even going back to, Elvis, it was all about Elvis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
always been a singular brand, a singleton.
Yeah, Elvis is kind of one that
Very
rings
interesting,
a bell.
Jake.
And then the British invasions were really about, well, what if you could have everything you love about Elvis, but Elvis is one of four people, and so we can make it that same appeal, but we can get 400% the audience.
Yeah, it's kind of that Princess Diaries moment where she's the makeover scene.
I was just going to talk about this.
Yeah, and
it was on the tip of my tongue.
I feel like before it was you find the talent and then you make it over, like a Susan Boyle to but I think what you're saying now is that you find whoever is I don't know, I'm just gonna say Britney Spears again or whatever, and then you put the talent on them, you create the talent with AI and just hours and hours of rehearsal and stuff like that. So
that would make sense if the industry wanted to use AI to engineer a plant more effectively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Which I think a lot of people
And
are. I think Taylor Swift had writers with her in her early albums, and like they always say, "Oh, she wrote her own stuff." I'm like, no, she didn't. Her writers got famous from working with her.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's like, but now we're just not gonna have to hire those writers. So I think like the industry is gonna carry on as it was, but it's just not gonna matter. I think it never prepared me for how much it wasn't gonna matter. The like blood, sweat, and tears type of merit that you need to be an artist.
Yeah, I feel like I can't look at that too hard, or else it'll devastate me, and I won't continue. But I know that there's other things or other people out there that are like-minded and have money and want to distribute it.
Yeah,
and that look for talent first, and so
and that need collaborators because a lot of there's huge blind spots of the aspect of the business we're both in that we don't necessarily want to do ourselves that other people are happy to do.
Yes.
And then, the things that we actually aspire to do, they need people in those roles, and things happening. I mean, since the internet and then especially since COVID, where the population centers were kind of decentralized creatively for a while and everyone was forced online, it's never been easier to be completely independent. And a lot of the people we look up to the most have been that way.
It reminds me of Mark Maron came to the comedy club at Helium, and he was talking about how he did like 4 nights in a row, and each night, he tried not to have he didn't have notes, so he did it all from like memory, which was like he didn't do it step by step. He tried to keep like a conversation flow, which was actually really hard to do. Most of those guys have like pretty much a set routine. It's really weird seeing them do it over and over again because you realize how rehearsed it is. But like I was thinking is like basically what's going to happen is your personal journey as an artist is going to be basically your own fulfillment that way. So like all that stuff that you want to do that's harder, it's not going to actually benefit you. It's just going to be about your personal journey rather than it's not going to have any impact on your success. It's just going to have an impact on how you take yourself seriously and your integrity.
And that's been a theme of the show recently is, a huge part of both of us kind of getting to where we kind of are and what our goals are now has been that we didn't, necessarily feel valid for the longest time in how we wanted to do things, such that we didn't even necessarily want to pursue learning how to do them until much later because we felt like we didn't belong there. And there's problems with those spaces that cause that in real life. And then there's also just the guilt and the shame and the constant second guessing and the imposter syndrome that so many of us deal with. How much of that do you see in a largely faith-based family environment?
Like personal
the shame and the guilt and the imposter syndrome.
I mean, I think it's pretty much, I think there's much more acceptance than there has ever been. And that's because of the weakening faith-based community. Like you can be deviant so much in your privacy that everybody is kind of like, it's becoming too accessible for everybody to be deviant. And so I don't think that there's probably too much acceptance and there's probably not enough shame.
It's like trying to set the dinner table while the castle is burning.
Yeah, they've deeply neutered the church that I grew up in. They can't speak out about. And to me, it usually gets down to the shame and conviction towards females. If you can't convict females, it's pretty much hard. It's pretty much so difficult to have a real conversation because church can mostly be about being vindictive to males, and that's really easy because men welcome that type of criticism. But you can't really have an honest conversation nowadays when it comes to all these modern things without actually holding women accountable. And if you don't start there, it's pretty much hard to hold anybody accountable after that because social media is so driven by what draws eyes, and then what draws eyes clearly seems to be statistically the female form.
Yeah.
And that happens to be our daughters, So I don't understand.
Well, and if the church is enforcing a dogma that's at odds with polite society. Polite society used to be much more misogynistic and racist and homophobic, and now polite society includes probably still too much. This is my thing because I kind of live as a secular dude, right?
Yeah.
Even though
Even though you're a shaman.
I'm a shaman. I'm an ordained reverend.
Yeah.
And I've performed over 20 weddings.
Wow. Wait, seriously?
Absolutely. That's a real number. I have them all in my Google
Jacob
Drive.
V. Weddings.
JacobVweddings.gov / Christ. And but that's the thing. If the church is preaching a dogma that is kind of at odds with what they're doing the rest of the week at home, this is a huge problem. Is so few families now compared to how it used to be manage their households in a way that is aligned with that dogma that a church like that one might be enforcing. So, especially once their kids get to be a certain age, a lot of parents just lose interest in trying to maintain that relationship with the church of any of them.
There's so much out there that is gonna there's so many. The competition has risen so high for finding acceptance in other places that parents are constantly trying to be friends with their children, not just because their kids can get CPA called on their parents on a dime. They're groomed to do that so easily now, but there's just so many places for kids to kind of run away to, and then especially in school and stuff and or online, and so you're the bid for your kids' attention in any sort of form. But so I think the same thing happened in the church.
Well, and if you're parenting all week with an iPad, then taking your kid to church is going to be weird to them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's usually let them be plugged right into Satan 3 inches from their face all afternoon.
And that's how AI is going to raise our kids. Our parents are so afraid to punish our kids, and we've talked about this, that they're just going to outsource all of the punishment to the iPad. The iPad's going to say I'll let you watch this next video if you do the dishes and apologize to your mom, and then the mom will just defer all of the punishment. Well, did the iPad say you could go to the party tonight? And that's how AI is going to...
Yeah, I've been meaning to do some writing about this, but I mean, trying to move forward in the society that's progressed the way that we live in now, obviously any aspect of liberty or equality, I'm certainly for. But what could we borrow from these more oppressive institutions we were raised under that could help us in the future? Do you just in your opinion? You're not just a disclaimer, you're not an expert. Yeah. But the faith has been forced upon you your whole life in such a way that there's got to be parts of it that are this is good, we should keep this, even if we get rid of a lot of the hate and the mind control and the whatnot.
I think kids should be ashamed of something. I think there's got to be something.
I've said this since day one. I would be a fucking dog shit criminal dead person if I had not had this immense fear of shame and guilt. You know what I mean? That growing up, I thought everybody was just succeeding at all the stuff I was struggling to do. Yeah. I didn't know people were graduating high school with a 2.9 or a 2.3. Yeah, that was I didn't know. Yeah. I thought I was a piece of shit with my 3.8. Right. Because my girlfriend at the time had a 4.1. Right. And I didn't know it went above 4. Yeah,
it's always the white girls in all the schools always had 4.5. I'm
what?
What the fuck?
How?
How did that's not even possible?
Why stay in school?
Yeah, for real.
Why stay here? Yeah. And so... And it wasn't until, and I carried that through college. So it wasn't until I was teaching for a couple of years and then encountering other professionals and assessing their literacy the way I was assessing my students' literacy. I was oh, nobody is doing the shit I've been doing for 20 years where I'm actually trying to add things because I just assume I have no value on my own. I have to collect valuable knowledge and skills to make myself valuable to other people. What if I had just woke up and said, I'm perfect? Yeah. I'm perfect the way I am. I don't need a book. Yeah. I don't need to read. I would never have learned to read.
And education on its own, just the effort of education is not at all. The whole thing about I was a gifted child, so now I don't try hard at anything, that really hit a portion of the population. Yeah. The whole I was in the gifted program and now I dropped out of high school. That really did for probably the people born around 2001 and 2. That really seemed to hit that part of the population where they just gave up. And I don't know. I mean, I think I remember when I first joined the workforce, when I first started working in a restaurant, and I realized how much you could just bully people. Like stuff that used to be like literally illegal in the classroom. Like you go out in the real world and like, oh, you can just be a total piece of shit, fucking asshole, and like
especially in a kitchen.
And you'll get promoted, and you'll get like, and I remember just like that slapping me in the face. But if I was like part of this new generation, I would have been like, no, I'm fucking not gonna do that. I'm just like not gonna like. There's no point. Like the whole thing, they already told me I was smart, so there's no fucking point in trying to. The money isn't going to buy me anything more than what I basically already have, which is air conditioning and Netflix.
That's all you need. Have you been on Netflix lately?
Yeah.
I got YouTube Premium.
Yeah, YouTube Premium's fucking.
I watched Den of Thieves with 50 Cent, and there's a lot of famous people in it, but 50 Cent is in it, and he's great at it. But they do basically what Den of Thieves is basically the movie Heat reimagined with other memorable scenes borrowed from other action movies since that time.
Yes.
So
Michael Bay directed it?
No, but it's basically that concept.
Michael Mann.
I think it's Gerard Butler.
Yes.
And 50 Cent and lots of famous people. It's actually very entertaining. But it's these it's this ex-Marine is leading a group of thieves they start off by stealing an armored car, much like the movie Heat. And then they killed the guards, which they didn't necessarily plan to do, much like the movie Heat.
Yes.
And then, but the armored car was empty, and so the mystery begins. And two of the cops that are killed are Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And so there's also a lot of this jurisdiction talk and a lot of this is my crime scene now, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And because it's LAPD and the LA Sheriff's Department.
Oh, sorry.
And then also for some reason they go and they're at 50 Cent's house and it's prom night. And this boy comes to pick up his daughter for prom. And so it turns into like the scene from Bad Boys 2, where they greet Reggie at the door with the gun. 50 Cent walks the young boy in his suit, in his tuxedo, into the garage. He's got all his gangster friends in there. And like, you better be back here by 11:30, bruh. And I'm like, they did the Bad Boys thing.
This is from Bad Boys too.
I don't think they put Gerard Butler in an air vent, but they put one guy in an air vent, though. And then the end of it turns into like, I'm not going to give it away because you should go watch it. Not a sponsor, Den of Thieves. I rented it on YouTube for $3. Rentals are back.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's like a whole like twist that like so many of the dudes are like dead or whatever, but that the ones that get away were like you would never suspect. It turns into like Usual Suspects for a minute.
Damn.
I know. And so it's like. And so with enough money, you can make the perfect action movie, vaguely famous people.
Yeah.
Good cinematography.
And it did what it needed to do. It didn't need to come up at all.
It had lots of strong actors of color, which I love. I love a diverse cast.
Absolutely.
I think even one of the other detectives was Asian for no reason, other than for the representation, and I love that.
Respect.
And he was sort of like the more straight edge LAPD crime scene guy, and it just it made perfect sense.
I go to the University of Missouri St. Louis, and surprisingly enough, that's actually how most situations are. Is you have somebody who's like Asian, and then Indian, and then a black guy, and then there's me.
Yeah.
And I'm always in charge.
Yeah, good. That makes sense. That's how we got into this situation.
It's always me and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt's eating
Emma was
something.
telling me this. I was in the pool with Emma this morning.
Nice.
And she was telling me that there's a Native American woman who is running for something.
Screen.
And I thought that might be a good idea. That might be the way to go.
Yeah, I would love that. Besides obviously Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder we should check in on the RNC live feed. I bet nothing's happening.
No, is the RNC, is that the Republican
National Convention's happening right now in Milwaukee.
Man, that's so exciting.
After the shooting Saturday.
So President Trump promises that we will get rid of income tax on tips.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if that means that will actually raise the half minimum wage that waiters get to the total minimum wage. And if that happens, do we just lower the minimum wage across the board so businesses can stay open? A lot of questions.
I don't
about
think
that.
he's talking about touching minimum wage.
I would be curious.
He's just eliminating
tax
on tips.
Yeah, but can that even exist then? If you aren't recognizing tips as income,
you're recognizing them. You're still going to claim them. You're just not going to tax them.
Yeah, that's technically more constitutional than taxing it because it's all been gifts this whole time. Mm-hmm. It's such a fucking scam.
Yeah, see, that's how they get you.
Yeah. Have you ever worked for tips, Lucius?
Only on the corner. No, I worked. My first job was at a restaurant called Mr. Steak, and I worked for tips.
Wow. What was that, Mr. Steak?
Mr. Steak. They had the Steak Diane was their big thing.
It was a woman. The steak was a Diane.
Yeah, they had fruit boats, which was a pineapple cut in half.
Sweet.
Was this in?
Did it have mayo on it?
Cape Springs.
Off Zumbel.
I can picture it, Mr. Steak. But what's the environment like? Is it like a diner?
It's kind of like a diner. Yeah, you could call it that because it's small, like a diner, but it has booths more than anything. It's a place you would go probably in like I don't know, maybe the 90s was its heyday, maybe even earlier than that, 70s, 80s, where you'd go for like a birthday or something, you know, get some Steak Diane.
Get the Steak Diane.
Get the
Mr.
salad. They'd have like bread there that we would like steal as waiters and stuff.
Yeah.
I had one moment where I was walking out with like 3 hot plates, and then somebody was walking in the doors, and then all of the plates fell on me. That was like a nice moment.
That's terrible.
You got 3 hot Steak Dianes down in front.
I was just trying to pay off my first speeding ticket, you know, as a 16-year-old or whatever.
And now you got to buy 3 Steak Dianes.
Yeah, now you got to buy fucking 3 Steak Dianes, and yeah, that was a fun one.
Is that still open?
No, it's actually completely demolished now.
They've closed Mod Pizza. They've closed Cone's Deli up the street, which was an institution. They have a location in the ballpark. They have closed. They have what else did they close? They closed a.
I mean, it's so. Can you imagine operating a business right now with how expensive it is?
This whole thing is falling apart. It's insane. This whole fucking thing's falling apart.
I know, but what's that?
And none of us are admitting it. Well, I'm like, dude,
I have admitted it this whole time.
At my last job, this pub, I was like, dude, nobody was coming in. It was completely dead. Like, and the product was so bad. It like cracks me up. Like, it's insane. Like, everything's coming to an end when it comes to food. Like, people just won't buy dumb shit anymore. Before the pandemic, there was like a fried donuts, like the stupid little donuts that you can make on your own with those little machines. They had a whole business built around that stupid fried donut, you know, the like mini fried donut that they would decorate. And I just can't believe the sham businesses that they were running before the pandemic, you know, with like zero outlook.
Well, they didn't know the pandemic was coming.
Yeah.
It's just, can you imagine operating a business right now? The expenses I mean, if you realize you're out of Steak Diane.
Yeah.
And you gotta call Cisco and say, listen, I need a whole truck full of Steak Diane.
Yeah.
And then they want you to pay for that day when you get it, even if you haven't sold any of the Steak Dianes yet.
Yeah. And it's deteriorating the moment you leave.
And so you gotta look and say, am I going to spend another thousands of dollars to stock this kitchen for a couple of days, or do I just need to pull the plug? I think that's what's happening when you see them close kind of suddenly. They're like, you know what? It's not worth it. We didn't make enough on the last refill of gunk in the fridge.
Noma closed, which I thought was the biggest telltale sign. When Noma was like the highest rated Michelin, like the most winning Michelin star,
the best restaurant in the world.
Was like we can't. This doesn't make any sense. This model doesn't make any sense. We can't pay the people that we're torturing to work here.
Yeah.
We can't afford the wait staff because people don't tip enough to make them work as hard as we work them. And I was like, man, that's every fucking restaurant. And just so you know, if you ever want to know that your restaurant is falling apart, the side work will get increasingly more ridiculous, and the management will become increasingly more like hostile towards you. A successful business doesn't really need to be hard on the staff at all. I've learned from working at successful businesses. And since I just moved to one, Katie's Pizza.
You don't have to do all that.
KP's.
I like their squid ink pasta is my favorite thing.
It's fantastic. She's doing a fabulous marketing campaign right now, appropriately. Since we need the the publicity. She's such a cool person.
So,
I'm so
what
happy.
can we borrow from the cloth to clean it all up? I think it's Book of Eli. I think Gary Oldman was right the whole time. You need the Bible to bring it back.
Well, I think if you consider that once we make a robot that can also make other robots, which will happen, physics says it can happen. Once that robot has a brain of an AI, it will completely, if all commerce is based on suffering for dollars, and there's nothing to keep dollars hard to get, because Elon keeps saying, oh, well, you just won't have to work and you'll have money. I'm like, no. That doesn't make any sense because the whole value of the dollar is based on American suffering and people being exploited for labor. And so if you can't have that, the entire world economy falls apart because the people at the top will inevitably do everything they can because they're doing it with farming right now. Farms can't reuse seeds that they already have because they're seeing it as like well, if you keep reusing seeds, then food won't be scarce, and if food isn't scarce, how will we charge for it? Because food is abundant, and so they have to make it illegal for them to reuse seeds because that undermines the scarcity of food, and so that's what's going to happen with that's how we are going to create, just like that show Snowpiercer. We will have a suffering class, and being liberated from that suffering class will be the price of entry, and we will actually put money into not just like letting them have nothing, but actually making their lives worse. I think because AI won't be able to, because if AI is doing all the labor, because labor is what made their lives worse, like having to work really hard for money. That was like the suffering, and if you don't have that, the entire foundation of the world economic system has fallen apart. Other countries used to be able to get out of poverty by enslaving their lowest class, and America has yet to like really do that yet. And Japan did it, China did it. China's still doing it with Hong Kong. Mexico did it. Russia did it in some respect. South Korea is certainly doing it. Australia is just coasting.
You and me had an idea about an experiment to address this problem. What if I bought the Hampton Village McDonald's?
Oh, yes.
And I just went ahead and paid everybody
$25.
$30 an hour.
Something ridiculous, yeah. And we capped our profit at $100,000 a year. Everything else goes back into the salary in the business. So we can't exponentially profit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see how it would work. Because I think McDonald's got so big that they offloaded their actual workload onto their franchisees. The hard part is getting people into a location to sell the food and then getting people into that location to buy the food. Yes. Right? That's the hard part. McDonald's really has nothing to do with that shit. They do their advertising and they don't help their motherfuckers out with staffing at all. Like you got
a bunch of money.
Yeah. And it's expensive.
Yeah. I still think it's crazy. The whole Red Lobster thing is freaking insane. So basically what happened with Red Lobster was a huge hedge fund bought Red Lobster and sold all of the Red Lobster real estate to a company, and then they got to keep all that money. And then what happened was the company that they sold all that real estate to charged each store rent for being there. And so the stores, to keep up with the rent, they of course maximized the amount of rent they could get to exist there. And so the stores had to cut costs and do all this stuff to make all this, to make the rent. That didn't have to go. None of that responsibility had to go to the hedge funds. The hedge funds literally gutted every store for its highest value, which was the real estate it sat on, and then left the stores to survive on their own, which was like hilarious. Like that is what is happening. Like people are buying up, hedge funds buy up stuff and then gut it for everything that it's valued at, and then they leave whoever's left there to fend for themselves based on the conditions that they leave them in. So like the rent, the property that I was living in Sullivan was owned by BlackRock, and they just wanted to buy up all the real estate around, and so they wanted rent from everybody. So they sold it to they bought the land and then sold it to a company, which then jacked up the price of rent on us, instead of like a locally owned.
Yeah, or like somebody who owns the house because it was their mom's house and she's dead now, so they rent it out.
Yeah.
Because it's paid off and it's just sitting there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So how does somebody your age feel about the prospect of home ownership?
Oh, I was telling Dad. Like, I live with my parents now. We always lived in like a starter home that was like super small, and now because of the condition of the economy, I'm like, Dad, it feels like a mansion here. I walk around here, I feel like I'm living in like. It
only felt so small because of how many of you there were.
Yes,
you're one of how many?
5 kids. But like I walk around and I'm like, man, this is like the Beverly Hills.
Because they all moved out. That's why I lived at home until I was 24. Clay moved out. I'm like, bitch, it should be my mom in here.
He took up half the house.
Because historically, I was trying to explain this to my cousin the other day. My mother and her husband don't live together. They never lived together.
That's a good situation.
It works for them. They may end up living together as we move into this retirement phase for him and his twin brother. Yeah. But like, I never thought it was weird. I didn't want that man living with me.
No.
I live with my mom. Like, you ain't moving in here?
Yeah.
And they were together for like 10 years before I moved out.
Wow.
And, but that was part of the thing. It's like once your siblings move out, it's like we got all this wiggle room. If I'm not fighting with my mom.
Yeah, right.
And my lifestyle isn't offensive to my mother in some way, you know, I mean, it made a lot of sense. I was still doing her laundry.
Well, just owning a piece of property like that would just be like, I'd be like, wow, I've got it made. But I also am really afraid. I don't want to be, I witnessed, when I was doing my internships, I witnessed what it was like real time, hardworking people who were just slaves to a company that didn't care about them. And people actually secretly they loved when people would get fired because it would validate their kind of suffering and like their like chosen position there. And I'm just not, I refuse to live that type of life. I refuse to live a life where the food that's on my table is provided by like literal narcissism, Yeah. I work too hard. The whole point of getting an engineering degree was that I know more and I call the shots.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about. That you become a competent professional in something. So you don't have to necessarily submit to somebody else's ideals all the time. Yeah. And that's a huge part of my response to being rejected from a very oppressive faith system when I was a little kid was that, I have to establish my value independent of anyone else's belief structure. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah.
To have to do all that.
Especially when you're groomed from birth to think differently.
Well, that's right. I mean, all of your authority figures, the people you value the most, are going to indicate how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
And so if they're not really telling you anything valuable other than you're a sinner or you're a dirty little piglet, you're going to think, I'm probably a sinner and a dirty little piglet.
Especially, it was very shoved down my throat.
I'm an overstuffed pork chop son of a bitch. And for now...
Dirty little girl.
I'm a big one. You got called that a lot, and I don't think that's okay.
Yeah,
that your track coach called you a dirty little girl. That's weird to me, and I think it's okay if you want to talk to me about it
on air
right now.
Yeah,
it'd be great. Did you see Dr. Phil's doing a YouTube show?
Yo, that's awesome.
He did Trump and RFK.
He did?
Yeah.
He has a podcast?
It's like
Dr. Phil's podding, bro?
Yeah, it's called like Yeah, and I don't know. He's definitely like a Trump guy, but doesn't say he's a Trump guy.
Yeah, right.
And so
he doesn't give Trump as hard questions.
So that's hard. But I don't get it. Maybe they should do the debate sitting down.
Oh wait, is RFK up? Trump just said today that he calls for RFK to have like maximum security.
Well, because Biden apparently has blocked RFK having full Secret Service detail.
So fucked. That's so crazy. Fucking crazy.
He should have it even if he's not running. He should have it because of just the history of the FBI and the CIA shooting his family in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has no Secret Service detail. I'm sure he'll get it now, and I'm sure Trump's going to get more of it.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
And Trump's detail.
Is he up for Vice?
Huh?
Is he up for Vice?
Who? RFK?
Yeah.
I don't think he's entertaining that. That'd be interesting.
I would love that.
If it was Trump and RFK.
RFK is actually the real candidate, but we can't. But the Richers can't fucking let us have that.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. Is like.
Do you have any water back there, Lucius?
Yeah.
Can I have one? I'll go get it.
Let's just got it. Is there a DC in there?
No DC.
I got him out here.
You want just like a cup of water, or do you want like a sparkling water?
Just a water, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not trying.
You got to stay hydrated. It's hot out there today. I was in the pool this morning, and the outside air was hot.
Dude, it's bad. We're in the end
oppressive.
Times. It's the end times.
And so, what could I look forward to about Revelations,
so much.
if that's indeed the thing?
Okay, so I think that the Antichrist is going to, he's going to have a secondary, and something is going to happen, like a rapture type event, and the Antichrist is going to be able to explain that. This is why women are most susceptible, because he's going to be extremely trustworthy, and he's going to be able to explain away the rapture. And he's going to have a huge follower base.
And you're saying he's going to be handsome.
He's going to be very handsome, and he's going to be like, and I think he's going to kind of capture like, the reason I think women are going to follow him is because oftentimes the swing political, side of the home swings towards whatever the woman kind of believes, and so that's my opinion. And I think that if you really want to, and also the Quran says that, most of the people in hell are
That'd
women.
be great if you and me
But
became
that's also
white
true.
Muslims.
Yeah, I am kind of a
back.
white Muslim.
It's Jake and Joe, the white Muslims.
Welcome back to White Muslim.
Welcome back to White Muslims. The Quran says, vote with your wife. And
But
the Antichrist is gonna. So there's gonna be some sort of cataclysm.
There's going to be some sort of rapture. There's going to be some sort of sign. It's probably going to be that Israel. They will try to basically bomb Israel, and Israel will be defended using from bombs from all of the elements. So like water, fire, and gravel. What are the elements? Whatever the elements are.
Earth, wind, and fire.
Earth, wind, and fire. Yeah.
Water.
And they will be.
They'll employ the four elements.
Yes. And then there will be some sort of this might happen before or after. I think it'll probably happen after. That the Christians, the chosen ones, will be zapped and brought to heaven. And that is, I think, what the Antichrist will be here to explain away. Why?
He'll be here to say, no, guys, it was the vaccine.
Yeah, I was about to say it is the vaccines. They've been
because I've
statistics
heard
have said
there are some devoutly Christian, evangelical women who believe the Antichrist could be the president of France.
Interesting.
Specifically the guy who's president of France right now.
Why?
I don't remember. That was just what she thought, based off if we're living in end times. She thought a good candidate for the Antichrist could be the current president of France.
There's a lot of conservatism growing in this, especially Italy. Italy has this huge Nazi movement right now, this huge underground.
Well, historically, that's happened before.
Yes, and I think that.
What's that about?
The Italians, I don't know.
Nazis in Italy?
You know what's funny? Yeah,
As a white Muslim, I don't want to hear about Nazis in Italy.
You know what's interesting though is that they have better aerospace engineering technology than America does. The Italians have better planes than us. They just don't have the money to build them. That's why I think whenever the World War happens, people are going to want Italy.
To build them at scale, you mean?
Yeah. They have better designs.
That's the thing about Italian cars. Ferrari, they can only make several thousand of those a year. They can't just be cranking them out all day like Doritos or Ford Rangers.
Yes, Ford Rangers.
Ford Rangers, if somebody's going to buy them, they will clip you out Ford Rangers 3 shifts a day, 6 days a week until you quit buying them. Whereas Ferraris are we're sold out of Ferraris. That's why they're so expensive, because there's a set number every. If they only released 5,000 iPhones every year, They'd be $1 billion fucking dollars.
Yeah. Well, and this goes back to my whole thing about like, so after AI completely devalues everything, you're pretty much just going to have to choose what you want to do, regardless of if it's profitable or not, and try to be good at it enough to
force it to become profitable.
Yeah, force it to become profitable,
Yeah.
because everything is going to be undermined pretty soon. Especially if you can sit at your job, you're done. If you can sit at your job, it's over. If it's on an Excel doc, extra over.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, Excel jobs over, completely gone. Email done. HR will probably be the last standing of them, because you want a human body signing off and everything.
Yeah.
But it'll be one white girl, most likely.
What's her name going to be?
Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie and
Clarissa.
HR, the
Yeah.
last stand. It's the executives, Stephanie, and the robots.
I mean, seriously, and
We are all locked out outside the lobby begging for Chipotle.
jobs. Yeah.
I just need a chicken rice bowl, bruh.
In the next 5 years, we're going to see our first single employee $1 billion companies. In the next 10 years, we're going to have. I think we're going to still see the implosion. We're going to still see the explosion of salaries for computer science jobs. So like, you'll still be seeing the $175,000 computer science job the guy got in cybersecurity a year out of Fontbonne. But then in the next like 8 years, all of it is going to happen at once. They are all going to be fired at the same time, and every company is going to follow the same way we had those 50,000 job layoffs at like McDonald's and Facebook and stuff back last summer. And it's all going to be trades after that.
Trades.
Yeah.
No, trades are good.
Plumbing and electric.
Plumbing.
So you're saying we all get shit jobs?
Yeah. We all get
But here's also the problem is that my cousins and stuff that are electricians or plumbers, I have a cousin who's a career Marine and loves it.
That's cool. That's badass.
All of these people, I have a cousin who's a lineman.
That's
builds
like
power lines.
$300,000 a year, but you'll get 6 divorces by the end of it. That's what I hear.
That's not
And they
his
divorce
experience,
you,
but she
huh?
doesn't work.
Okay, there you go.
So they're going to be fine.
Okay.
What you do is you move in near the in-laws.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
He's on the Patreon. Shout out to the lineman.
Thanks, Lyman.
And he's a hero. He's an American hero. But all these guys that I grew up with that were not academic dudes and did not want to go to college and whatnot, they all have beautiful homes, beautiful families. They never
Yeah.
complain to me about money. They have
Yeah.
beautiful trucks. They have beautiful hobbies. They have beautiful instruments and stuff. They play music. They have, the
Yeah.
things they want to have. They have time to do that on the evenings and weekends. If we want to get together and play music, they can do that. And
God, what I'd give
when
to be a
my
UPS
dad would pick
driver.
me up after working construction all day because he builds houses and stuff, you better be getting straight A's because you don't want to be out here with me because
God, how wrong he was.
well, he was parented to believe
that was
that
a failure.
that he was less than for not having some sort of a education or a certificate or whatever, because that was just what they were selling at that time. You know what I mean? And so
God, we were so misled.
well, and my education has served me really well. And my education was not nearly as expensive as it could have been. And my parents were really supportive financially throughout that time. And I have some student debt, but I think also mine will be forgiven because
Yeah.
I'm a public school employee for going on to 10 or 11 years.
That was
But
that's why
so
I'm a
all in all,
proponent
like
for
I'm not like
forgiving
a victim really, but generationally, I'm like, oh, everything I actually wanted, I could have had if I had just studied a trade
Yeah.
after school. You know what I mean?
I
Like
think I was just criminally underserved, and I think our educational
you
system
definitely
is gonna
were.
I think our
The
educational-
goal was not you having a top shelf education. The
Yeah.
goal was getting you through a education somewhere. And we got you through it, but I have subbed in that exact building, and I can tell you that
yeah. Reading was not the priority.
I keep my cosmetology license active
for your
that's pretty
discounted
good.
state.
for my discounted state.
My
beauty
mom has
supply
kept
and stuff.
hers active for going on like 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
And she hasn't actually practiced cosmetology in at least 20.
Yeah,
But just
That's so
because
funny.
That's genius.
yeah, well, oh my God, shampoo and shit, you get the fucking professional quality products at like half their normal sticker price because you're
in the wholesale price.
you get the wholesale price.
Yeah.
And so I'll be driving home down Hampton, and I'll see my mom walking into State on Hampton.
Hilarious.
Damn.
I know. I'm like, what are you getting? I'll pull over and I'll get me some. I could use a little leave-in. I like the BioSilk.
Oh, BioSilk.
BioSilk is nice. Because my hair won't stay greasy. My hair will drink it up. So I do a little BioSilk. I remember one time a girl shoplifted some BioSilk at a Walgreens for me.
Nice.
Because it won $28 for 16 fluid ounces of BioSilk. I'm like, not up in here. The first ingredient is agua, por favor. Joe, should we hit some hot takes?
Yes. Let's get the hot takes weekly up from V-Box, from the V-Box.
We've started working on this. MP3s are inferior.
That's true.
And Steve Jobs' legacy is the bastardization of audio.
That is, yes.
Because between popularizing the MP3 and then forcing everybody into these earbuds that everyone wears now, which is already inferior quality, you're listening to a dog shit version of a song in a dog shit device. And then the Bluetooth thing, it pushes way too much bass. You know, if you look at like a plastic molded cabinet of any kind, it pushes way too much bass.
That's true.
Compared to like we used to have nice wood cabinets. I saw an old wood set of JBLs, passive JBLs.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's what used to sound good.
Yeah.
It used to be in a cabinet. Now it's clipped together by slaves in Vietnam.
That's true.
And it's a surface mount PCB with a fucking car battery. And it looks like it belongs on a float trip.
Yeah.
Hot takes. We talked about this. The globalists conquered the beer market. And so now they only compete with themselves.
That's right. Because of prohibition. Mm-hmm. And they will explain how that
Everyone's
works.
drinking Bud Light. All these beautiful blue collar gentlemen I talked to you about, they're all back on the Bud Light.
Yeah.
They hit it hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's so drinkable. I prefer Bud Select, which apparently is still St. Louis exclusive.
Yeah, Select's the best.
It's actually 11 calories less than Bud Light.
Yes. Everybody drinks Select at the bar.
I could put 18 Selects away right now.
Mich Ultra's the biggest one, though. Mich Ultra, people fucking destroy the Mich Ultra.
But aren't Michelob and AB owned by the same shit now? That's the thing. There was a time...
They're just competing with themselves.
But there was a time when I was a kid, you couldn't get Michelob Golden Draft here because they didn't want it to compete with other things they were cycling in the market.
Yeah.
But they've monopolized so much of the macro beer market that even things that are like from St. Louis that used to not be associated, they're all owned now by AB, who's owned by InBev, who like Rolling Rock.
Yeah. Elysian, Rolling Rock. Elysian was like during the craft beer boom was bought by Budweiser, AB, Anheuser-Busch. Hot takes.
If we close all the public schools, those kids are going to grow up to revolt, and they may already anyway. They're being completely abandoned by their families academically.
That's absolutely true. People, if they don't have a place to learn the biggest training for compliance, then they have no chance of because people think if you're raised without having the grade, being graded as a student and being alienated among your peers academically to be seen as inferior, then the dumbest people I've ever met are the ones who are in the gifted programs. They're so asleep. My brain fought it tooth and nail. My F's were indicative that I was actually too smart for school.
Yeah.
Like Einstein.
I think it's the only reason public schools are still open, I think, is to satiate the public. Because if you just abandon them on what's really childcare from 5 to 18, it's going to be absolute chaos.
That's my other thing that's why I also believe that mostly women are going to be huge supporters of the Antichrist, because the way they validate education, they got to prepare for the ACT, they got to have to, the way they validate it is so this made up thing that's also a corporation. Do you mean that ACT? The way that they deeply internalize it, and how quickly they do is so disturbing to me. Mostly white women are the ones doing well in public schools. Mostly white women are the ones who are in college and graduating. That's also why I said that.
Well, and they're mostly in charge of everything at schools.
And they're also, they design most of the school system as we know it, or at least helped create the structure. That's just my opinion.
No.
An opinion based in some fact.
I've said that on this show before. That's been borne out in the research.
But that's also why they're so underpaid. There is a patriarchy for sure, because that's also why school teachers are so underpaid and taken advantage of.
Yeah, because they're just assumed to be mostly women. So everyone gets paid like a woman.
That's terrible.
Like I get paid the same as the women I work with because we all get paid like women.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm fine with because I do like being a martyr. Because I have a boundary at work that, like, listen, everybody in the country knows that I'm being underpaid for what I do. Mm-hmm. So step
You're a
off.
hero.
I'm a fucking hero.
That's true.
I'm a disabled veteran.
That's true.
How about you get your finger out of my face before I bite it?
Yeah.
I have PTSD from this
PTSD,
job.
Bitch. For real. Damn it.
Hot takes. What's the next? Is there a fourth one?
I've got one. I don't think there is.
Oh, let me see.
Biden.
Did I just write Biden?
Yeah.
That was before Trump got shot.
Yeah.
I've said this since day one. I've been saying this since 2015. No. 2019.
He was. Yeah, you did. Is it just that
let that man go to bed?
Yeah. Yeah. Let that man take a nap.
Let that man go to bed.
That's true.
What is the problem with the military-industrial complex and the deep state that we're going to do this with him? I mean, so they got to get somebody else in there. And then, because if it stays Trump and Biden, especially after Saturday, Trump's got it.
Yeah. No doubt.
Which
I don't understand.
Which I'm not for, but it's just the energy on the internet, at least.
He was the only guy they had in that last election. Everybody just wanted another 4 years. And I guess they thought by some magic they'd be able to turn it around. Because the amount of money, that was all FTX money. You know, all that money that they used to get out and vote. That was all FTX money.
Yeah.
Isn't that hilarious?
That guy's in jail.
That guy's in fucking jail.
How's he going to pay anybody back if he's in jail?
I knew it was over. I knew Trump wasn't going to win that election when the Avengers were up on screen talking about the Cheeto Man. I was like, "What? How did they get the Avengers? That's the most expensive group of people I've ever seen."
Yeah, to talk about the Cheeto Man.
To talk about the Cheeto Man. Restaurants are closing left and right.
Who closed today? We lost some people.
Who?
Richard Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Ruth.
Dr. Ruth.
Shannon Doherty.
We got to get their faces up.
Yeah.
Right here.
The in memoriam.
Yeah.
I'll put them right there.
Literally all sexual icons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's with that?
I don't know. They're trying to, because they want to make us asexual fucking pod beings.
That's kind of true. The way they've demonized male sexual nature is pretty. Like, male sexuality has been so demonized.
I'm so glad I introduced you as a men's rights activist.
Yes.
Because it just explains some. It sets the context for the episode in a way that I can just relax. Because everyone.
I told you what he was.
I said it up front. He's actually being pretty good. All things considered. Well, we haven't talked about. There's some sensitive issues you just don't talk about with certain people.
Yes.
Like dress code in schools.
Yes, that's true.
I don't want to know what you think about dress code in schools.
Yeah, I have some opinions on it.
I know. I don't want to know.
I think co-ed was the death of the future of men.
Oh, God.
It was. It's too distracting, damn it.
It's too distracting.
It is. I can't. It's in our biology.
It's in our biology. Biology.
It's not my fault. I was supposed to.
It's in the bylaws. My fucking math teacher already has these huge cans. I'm already bricked up. And then you're going to put other specimens in here? Do you want me to do math or do you want me to get bricked up? Because right now I'm bricked up.
Yeah.
And I can't do geometry with a brick. I need to be de-bricked. Can we send the girls somewhere else, please? Math is hard. I'm too hard for the math to be this hard. Yeah. We can't both be this hard.
Please.
Yeah, I always had that problem though. Like in Catholic kindergarten, there was a boy line and a girl line, and there were only like 3 girls, so that line was a lot shorter. And so I always insisted on being in the girl line. But you can imagine at a Catholic kindergarten in 1996, maybe not that cool, but I must have been pretty insistent because she let me do it most days.
Yeah.
That's
fine.
Because I
Let
didn't
him
want
in
to
the
be
girl
around
line.
all the other boys.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I would have responded in a boy exclusive environment. I probably
would've liked that.
would have got the shit kicked out of me.
Yeah. Tell you what, they respect women a lot more coming out of all boys schools. That's true.
Because they're only in places of authority.
Yes.
See, I should have gone to SLU High.
That's where, yeah.
I would have got it expelled freshman year for some gay shit.
From gay
You
shit,
can't let
SLU
me.
High.
Don't let me. I'd have been like, yeah, I'll try soccer. I'll play soccer.
I'll play soccer.
What do you guys need?
Yeah.
Anybody need anything?
Yeah.
I'm in the showers. Anybody need anything? Anybody need some help? It's like, Mrs. Wiedemcheck, your son is great. The other kids like him a lot.
Yeah. Dress is great.
But he's a little too helpful in the shower.
In the shower.
After soccer practice.
After soccer.
That would have been great to have to explain that.
I should have gone. I just feel like, the competition would have been right.
It's expensive.
And the groups would have been better. I just don't. The whole idea of it is just insane to me now. Like, little boys in puberty, all the hormones going around. You want them to learn math sitting next to a girl? Like, that's insanity. That's insanity. I had too much anxiety as a kid. I was sweating all the time. I was.
Yeah, and it wasn't even hot.
I wasn't. It was. Yeah. I'm serious. I remember.
I'm super serial.
Yeah.
This is maybe the weirdest episode I've done all summer.
This is
We
a good
talked
episode.
about we talked a lot about Christ. Jesus Christ. And this, yeah. But I don't. I guess we just
topics. The Delta 9 at the end of the episode. How's your review of Delta 9? Do you smell it in your sweat?
I don't think
How
that.
is
I don't
it?
think I'm even supposed to.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the move, because usually what I do when I have large,
You feel
large
you seem
quantities
calmed
like this,
down.
yeah, it definitely has an effect. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It works. But what I'll probably do
How's
is
your
take all of
brain
this
function?
flour and I'll probably put it all in my blender
Yeah.
and I'll blend it all up together.
How is your brain function? Do you feel sharp?
Yeah, I don't feel inhibited cognitively, but I don't know that I don't know that I feel like I have a lot to say.
Yeah, neither do I. Yeah.
Which is funny because I didn't eat before I came here on purpose because I didn't want to be full and like groggy.
Yeah, you don't be groggy.
Yeah, but then we got this loophole weed from Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
and who knows what's going to happen more
It's
broadly.
full spectrum, so that means it has sativa and Navitica.
Yeah, I usually get a hybrid
Oh.
because I need the indica to address my PTSD symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
But
The
but I like
sativa.
some of the benefits of the other side. It's all probably fake.
Yeah. This is what a lot of people say.
It's probably all fake.
That's why they need a Diet Coke blend.
Yeah, you got to have it with a little Diet Coke.
Yeah.
But no kratom. People are still talking about kratom. I don't add it to my. It's not in my regimen.
Well, I take something that's available at Circle K called Feel Free, which is kava and kratom. And every time I drink, I saw it on Joe Rogan, and you can't find the clip anymore for some reason. But you just drink half of this little tonic, and you feel great.
You just drink half?
Let's drink half. It's a 2-dose single tonic. You put the rest in the refrigerator.
2-dose single tonic.
It's really good.
What happens if you take the 2 doses at one time?
I've never tried that. You get a headache. Probably you overdose on kratom, which just means you're gonna be like dizzy and.
It's
you
called
feel drunk.
Feel Free.
It's called Feel Free.
It's like a 5-hour energy size thing.
It's a 5-hour. It's right there on that counter, and it looks like a modern product. It's definitely like the marketing behind it is genius. Like the way it looks and everything.
Will
They
you
use
grab
that
it?
shitty font.
Hold the line. We're grabbing. Not a sponsor. I don't know why you bring me these things. Are you saying they'll sponsor this show? Feel Free classic plant-based herbal supplement. Well, that sounds innocuous enough. Kava root. Kratom leaf.
I drink these every day. They feel
Do
fantastic.
not exceed 2 ounces in a 24-hour period. Water, pineapple juice, natural flavors,
Pineapple juice helps it
Stevia
digest.
citric acid. Really? Oh, and it marks the one serving there. Feel
Yeah.
free. Classic.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, the branding is really good. They got some marketing guru.
Wow.
Yeah.
So No Antics is on the road this week. We're going to be in Chicago Friday at Kohl's downtown. We're staying at a really cool Airbnb in Berwyn.
You're playing at a Kohl's?
Kohl's, COLE''S. It's like a bar venue.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We'll be back here Saturday night, the 20th, at the Get Down in the Grove.
Get down.
That's going to be a lot of fun. We're playing with both shows with our friend S. Jod from Chicago, who we played with in Madison, and we love him. And he's going to be back here with us Saturday night. And then I'm going to be documenting that whole gig because I'm also running sound. So
You could do an interview with him, S-Jod.
yeah, I'm going to do a podcast with him in the transition, I think. And then we'll be podcasting on the road Friday for sure because I fucking hate driving to Chicago.
Yeah.
And
you do that
then-
all the time, too.
I have to. Well, you have to. It's. I mean, the nearest larger city. And Blinded by Stereo is hard at work on some new stuff. I just caught up with all of them. You can find their vinyl for sale on Bandcamp. No Antics just launched their Bandcamp, and we have merch that we've been slinging like hotcakes. I gotta go mail some merch today.
He's the merch kings. No
Yeah,
Antics.
today's the first shipment day of No Antics merch from noantics.bandcamp.com/merch. JacobV.com, patreon.com/JacobV. What else?
Nothing. I got nothing.
You
to
got
plug.
nothing yet? Stay
a
tuned.
student.
Joe
Yeah.
is constantly working on some innovations and some of our common interests that will exist in the world someday.
Soon, yes.
So, Caddyshack,
Yeah.
New Hamel, Illinois. It's actually just Hamel. Save a Life or 9. Good Company in the Grove. That'll do it.
Yep, that's it.
I love you.
Love you.
How long was that?
That's 96 minutes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, we can clip that up because it took a little while to get going there. We can also edit some silent points.
How about we?
I can do it. I've got.